This month we'll see the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 7, another game in the series that just seems to keep plodding along. And the crazy thing is, even though everyone says they hate it and they're not going to play it, the game will probably still end up being successful. I think it's clear now more than ever that every new release in the series is just some glorified season update for Warzone, and they all just sort of blend into one. This is the first year I really don't care about playing the new COD, and I've been playing them every year since 2007. Even though I get the game through Xbox Game Pass, I just really don't have any intention of playing it, which is quite sad considering when I was growing up a new Call of Duty coming out was an event every year, starting in May with the leaks and rumours to the eventual reveal trailer, and all the information following leading up to its release in November was covered, and I would be hyped all the way through, watching countless YouTube videos. Nowadays I couldn't even tell you what day it actually releases on. That also might be the fact I'm quite old now and don't have time to watch T Martin analyse a poster in a magazine. Is T Martin still with us? Oh no. Today I thought I'd take a look back at when Call of Duty was at its peak and was in its golden age, the early 2010s, where every new release would have high review scores, smash sale records set only by the game that released the year before, and had every YouTuber on the planet starting a gaming channel. Even iJustine had one. Do kids even know who that is? Probably not. But anyway, today I wanted to take a look back at one game in particular, that being Call of Duty Black Ops 2, the last great COD game.
Attention, the following video is going to totally kick ass.
You probably shouldn't send faxes to your fucking boss at KFC while we're trying to play COD on your shit connection, you fucking asshole, man.
Hey guys, it's Syndicate here, and welcome to my first live ever run of Mob of the Dead.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to calm down, alright? Can I tell you something?
Before I start actually talking about the game itself, I wanted to take a look back at the year leading up to its release. In 2011, Infinity Ward would release their title, this of course being Modern Warfare 3. Sadly, this wasn't the same Infinity Ward responsible for the other classic games in the Modern Warfare series. Due to a legal battle with Activision, a lot of the main people at Infinity Ward left the company, which meant that Modern Warfare 3 had to be put together by other studios at Activision and whoever was left at the developer. It meant for the first time since 2006's COD 3, people would be left a bit disappointed with the game they got, and the cracks were starting to show for the yearly release first-person shooter, so it was over to Treyarch to restore fans' hope for the series. Treyarch had done a great job at establishing themselves with their own series of games, most notably 2008's gritty World War II game, World at War, and their most recent game, 2010's Black Ops, which took place during the Vietnam and Cold War era. In May of 2012, we'd start to see what Treyarch had planned, which was a game set in the future. So what year was it set in, with all this futuristic technology and weaponry? Well, 2025. It's actually set in the past now, as the campaign takes place between May and July, which doesn't make me feel old at all. Over the next few months we get a few more trailers showing off the game's modes, and also a live action trailer with a bunch of celebrities like Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr. and YouTube legend FPS Russia. Man, T Martin, iJustine, FPS Russia. I really am aging myself with these names I'm mentioning here. We'd also see the start of the Replacer ad campaigns, which were really fun until they started to rinse them in the future games, and even add him as a skin. But on November 12th of 2012, we'd finally get our hands on Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on PC, PS3, Xbox 360 and also the Wii U. First up I need to talk about the campaign. Now Call of Duty campaigns are very much the Fast and Furious franchise of the gaming world. They mainly focus on big action set pieces with the same old evil bad guy who's almost always Russian, and they do very little in terms of innovation. They all pretty much follow the same formula. While some definitely stand out compared to the others in terms of their actual story, characters and missions, when it comes to the actual variety and what you'll be doing and replayability, it's non-existent. And after you've played one, you've really played them all. But not Black Ops 2 though. You see this game as a few new things that the games before it didn't, and even most of the games after it failed to do, and that's make it fun to play more than once. The game has tons of different endings for you to get by doing certain things in the game, and these can range from major points in the story by choosing to take out certain characters, or things you can completely miss, like certain intel files in missions, or even shooting this character in the leg instead of the head unlocks a secret cutscene at the end of the game. There's a whopping 8 possible endings you can get in the campaign, all depending on the decisions you've made throughout. It's a shame we really don't get this anymore, as I had tons of fun replaying the game and remembering the decisions I made when I played it for the first time. Yeah, 13 years later I still remember what my original decisions were and what ending I got. That's also down to how good the actual story was. Speaking of the story, it does something really unique as well. The first game was set in the 1960s and this game is set in 2025. Trying to bridge the gap between the two settings would be quite challenging, but somehow Treyarch made it work. Throughout the game you'll play between two different eras, the main one obviously being the modern day where you play as David Mason, who's the son of the first game's protagonist Alex Mason, who you also play as in this game. Those missions take place in the late 80s. The plot revolves around David trying to hunt down Raul Menendez, this game's main antagonist, as he is targeting the world's most powerful countries with cyber attacks and is leading the group known as Cordes Dia, trying to cause massive riots and all other types of chaos across the world. In the modern day missions, you'll be trying to track down Menendez in a bunch of different locations, whilst getting a bit of help from an old friend, Frank Woods, who sets up the flashback missions as you try to uncover Menendez's motivations and what happened between him and David's dad Alex back in the 80s. It's honestly one of the best stories in the series, a bunch of twists and turns to keep it interesting, and it's fun to keep switching from the 80s setting back to the modern, okay, technically future setting, which is still so weird to say considering it's now technically in the past. I'm not gonna lie, I wish 2025 did look like this. They've got these cool cities in the middle of the ocean, the technology's cool, they've got the old YouTube look, and everyone's still listening to dubstep, and all we get is shitty AI videos. They also introduced the option to create a class for the first time in the campaign, being able to suit whatever playstyle you wanted to go for, unlocking new weapons and equipment as you progress through the story. You can also pick perks as well. I personally stuck with the access kit, which allows you to open different boxes and rooms to access extra weapons and equipment unique to that mission, to give you a bit of an extra boost when taking on certain scenarios. Again, it's little things like this that made Black Ops 2 so much fun to go back to, as you have complete control on how you're going to tackle the mission. One final thing I want to bring up is Strike Force missions. These are technically a bit of filler, but still add something different to the classic shoot through a wave of enemies, reach a checkpoint, shoot through another wave, breach a door in slow motion, and rinse and repeat missions. Instead, these Strike Force missions actually take place on multiplayer maps and have similar objectives to what you'd find in multiplayer. Almost like a spin-off of Domination, you command a unit of soldiers and drones as you either have to defend or attack an enemy outpost within a certain amount of time. There's only like 4 of these and they never take up too much time, and also you can actually fail these missions, which will then have an effect on the ending. Overall, Black Ops 2's campaign really showed what the developers were capable of given the time and resources to actually make a decent campaign. It was clear that Treyarch were really trying to give us something new, and it didn't go unnoticed. I for one see it as the best campaign overall. Treyarch's track record with campaigns was looking good. World at War, Black Ops, Black Ops 2, how about Black Ops 3?
Outcome? Train go boom.
Yeah, we won't talk about that one. Don't get me wrong, some of the modern games have decent campaigns. I really enjoyed the first Modern Warfare and the last 2 Black Ops games, but none have really been able to do what this game did. But Black Ops 7 is actually a direct sequel, so here's to hoping it can capture that same magic as Black Ops 2, but with the most recent track record with Call of Duty.
It's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
Now it's time to talk about everyone's favourite mode in Call of Duty, Zombies. I spoke about the whole history of the mode last year and those videos did well. They got a few lot. I uploaded them, which is a positive. And if you want a more in-depth look at the complete history of the mode, then those videos are there. But I'm aware that this mode isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I can't talk about a Black Ops game without mentioning Zombies. Black Ops 2's zombie mode can be split into 2 halves. On one side you have some of the best maps in the series history that still really haven't been topped to this day, and then the other half which is about as fun to play as smashing your balls in a waffle iron. I obviously have to start with the bad, as it covers the launch of the game and its first DLC. And first up is Transit, the launch map of Black Ops 2. Transit really tried to do a lot of new things but ended up complicating things too much that it just made the overall experience tedious. You see, most maps in World at War and Black Ops 1 kept things simple and made sure not to overcomplicate things. That was until Moon released. It was the first map to really test the player's ability to navigate and survive in a way larger environment. Even though a lot of people loved it, not everyone was a fan and casual fans struggled to come around. So when just 1 year later Treyarch would release a map that would be just as big and more complicated, some fans were not impressed. So what problems did it have? Well, firstly, the map is broken up into a few points of interest that you get to via the bus. Due to limitations on the consoles at the time, running to each location just isn't practical, as there's a shit ton of fog and these horrific things in your way. So you're reliant on this bus to get you to each location, which isn't too bad. It's certainly unique, but the major problem is if you accidentally go down in an early round, then you have no quick revive until you make your way back to the bus depot, so you might as well just restart your whole match. It's bad enough in any other zombie map if you go down to retrieve all your perks at higher rounds, but trying to do it on Transit when the perks are split up in different locations, you may as well just quit right there. It had a few other problems as well. The lava all over the floor constantly damaging you, the shitty wonder weapon, the unreliable way to unlock Pack-a-Punch made for a really tedious time in Transit. Bit of a tongue twister there. They would also split 3 sections of Transit into smaller survival maps, these being Bus Depot, Farm and Town. But we all just played Town. It got quite boring quite quickly, but thankfully there was another map if you bought the deluxe edition, and that was Nuketown Zombies, obviously based on the popular multiplayer map from Black Ops 1, Nuketown. It was a fun map and was definitely more of the traditional Zombies experience, but it also had its problems, mainly the perk system. Every couple of rounds a random perk or pack-a-punch would drop into the map, which is an interesting concept, but it means you could be waiting until round 25 before you get Juggernog, which just isn't fun, especially in this era of zombies. Then we had the first DLC map, Die Rise, which again would have some cool concepts, but again would frustrate the fuck out of everyone. The whole map is based around verticality, as it's set in destroyed high-rise skyscrapers where you have to traverse to different floors by making risky jumps and using elevator shafts. So what happens if you accidentally fall? You just spawn back in the starting room? Nope, the game just ends. No matter what range you're on or what perks you have, you just die and it ends. Also there's some jumps that you have to take, but even then you still take fall damage, which then makes you more vulnerable to zombie attacks. Man, only if there was a perk to stop you from taking fall damage. Oh, there is. Oh, and it's on this map. That's great. But you can't reach it, and the devs only put it in the game to mock the player for some reason. That just sums up the first part of Black Ops 2 Zombies, to be honest. On top of that, there's a bunch of pointless doors around the map, so if you don't know your way around, you could end up spending a shit ton of points on opening up pointless office space. Sadly, all these maps have the same problem. Great ideas and great settings, but just ruined by poor decisions in terms of the gameplay loop. So this is the halfway point of the video. First of all, thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble on about Black Ops 2. I just want to say thank you, and please, if you have enjoyed today, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers before the end of the year. I think I'm only 145 away, so please be one of those 145. Help me out. Honestly, subscribing to YouTube channels doesn't help you in any way, the viewer. It's all to do with the person making the content, so please subscribe. At least I'm honest, at least I know it's for a selfish reason I'm asking you to subscribe, but please do, please leave a like, please comment down below, and yeah, just help me out any way you can by supporting the channel. So yeah, I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. 2 videos scheduled left, this one and the next. So yeah, let's see if we can hit that 500 subscriber mark by the end of the year. Please help me out, and yeah, I'll stop begging now and carry on with the video. So thanks for watching. For the second part of its life cycle, BO2 Zombies would see a change. First up, the team behind the campaign would take charge of 2 of the 3 final maps in the DLC season, as the original team would finish up their final map. The campaign team would then go on to, I don't know, just decide to drop 2 of the best zombie maps ever made, with Mob of the Dead and Origins, whilst the original team would make Buried, still a great map and definitely the best in the bunch in terms of the OG team's offerings. Obviously I need to start with Mob of the Dead, known as one of the best maps in Zombies history, and playing it again it's not hard to see why. Everything from the atmosphere to the story and how you progress through the map has just been done perfectly. The newest addition to this map was Afterlife. It replaced Quick Revive, as you would now spawn in with 3 lives, with 1 being added after each round if you lost any. The great thing about Afterlife is that when you went down, instead of just sitting there regretting your decisions, you now had an opportunity to do things around the map, like powering up perks, unlocking certain doors and grabbing parts of things like Pack-a-Punch. Even though Mob still came with a laundry list of tasks for you to complete, one of which is literally actually doing the laundry. Having Afterlife as an almost get out of jail free card helped feel like going down wasn't the end of the world. There were other things on the map to unlock as well, like the Hell's Retriever, a boomerang like Tomahawk which was tons of fun to play with, as well as this map's wonder weapon, the Blundergat, which is still the coolest wonder weapon in the history of Zombies. I feel like Mob is remembered so fondly because it rewarded players for actually learning the map as opposed to punishing them for even trying to get past round 5, and most of my memories from this era of Zombies were all on this very map. It's always fun to go back to. Buried was next, and even though it was a lot simpler than Mob, it still had its own unique quirks that made it fun to play, especially if you knew how to do things the right way. In this map you can get points by doing things other than killing zombies, like placing your own wall boys and using this fella, Leroy, to break down barriers for you.
Look at the size of that fucker!
If you use these things to your advantage, you can obtain things like Juggernog and most perks before you even hit double digits on rounds. A big part of the map is also the haunted house, which I used to be absolutely terrified as a kid, and still am a bit now to be honest, but this is how you get to Pack-a-Punch, so there's no avoiding it. But also, if you're smart enough, you can get 3 extra perks by doing certain things, like using the time machine after killing the last ghost to get 2 perk drops. That's the thing I love most about this map. Sure, you can play it like a classic Zombies map, run round building up points the old fashioned way, but again, just like Mob, the map rewards you for getting to know these different mechanics, and it's something I do every time I play, as I know the map like the back of my hand, even after all these years. The final map in BO2 Zombies was Origins, which ironically would start a whole new era of zombies going into the next game. The map is very similar to Mob, but the only difference is knowing the map and where certain parts are isn't something you can do, it's something you have to do, because by round 8 things get a little bit hectic.
I fear the sound walls.
To anyone unfamiliar with the map Origins, it can be intimidating, but just like Mob, the beauty of the map is learning it and mastering it. Also, just look at it as well. This was running on a fucking Xbox 360. The atmosphere of it all is just astounding. The massive robots walking across the battlefield and constantly slamming down near you gives this map a cinematic feel unlike any map before it. I never played Origins when it first released because it came out in September of 2013, which, as you can imagine, I could care less about zombies at that time. I did finally get into the map though during one of the COVID lockdowns, and man, let's just say I spent a lot of hours learning it and mastering it, which I've completely forgotten about now. That's why I'm running around like a headless chicken in this gameplay. After the release of Origins, it was clear the zombies was heading in a completely new direction, full of crazy easter eggs, complicated steps to pack a punch, and a story I don't think anyone really knows what's going on. The thing I take away most from the Black Ops 2 zombie mode is this is a point in history where the mode went from a simple third mode you play for fun to a completely standalone experience with its own fanbase, and it could now completely stand on its own, with the experiences in these maps being enough to keep anyone entertained for a while. Learning and mastering most of these maps was such a rewarding experience, and it's a formula that would make future maps in the series so successful. Right then, this is a bit awkward because it's hard to talk about multiplayer when it looks like this in 2025. So the gameplay you're seeing is against offline bots, which, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to be this good. Bots? More like aim bots. Am I right? I fucking suck at these games, man. But yeah, sadly, due to there being no one online, I can only really talk about what I remember and what I thought during this gameplay. So obviously this is a COD game in the golden generation, so there's not a lot to complain about. The gameplay was great, jumping into a match was instant, and the levelling up system wasn't complicated at all, and you weren't bombarded with some wank season pass every time you loaded up the game. The game felt fast paced, the maps were a great balance of small to medium size, and we saw a new system introduced which gave players way more options than ever to create a loadout perfect for them. This was the pick 10 system. Rather than always having to have a primary and secondary weapon, 3 perks, a grenade and equipment, you could start with a completely empty loadout and build it to your specifications. Maybe you just want a knife, well now you have the option to, and have about 6 perks to help you run around and be a little knob. It's just something so enjoyable about creating a class in this game, and it's a shame this system was only used in a handful of other games. Creating emblems also returned from BL1, but this time you had way more layers to make whatever obscene thing you wanted. I even made a tutorial on my channel on how to make Carl Pilkington from the Ricky Gervais show. Still my proudest moment on this channel if I'm being honest. The one problem I had with Black Ops 1's multiplayer was how they handled camos. You just sort of bought them whenever you felt like it. But in BO2 they adopted the challenges seen in other COD games to unlock the camos, and I still have very vivid memories of grinding to get the diamond camos on the SMGs and shotguns. It just gives the game another level of replayability to constantly want to chase those challenges and unlock those rare camos, which I mean, that diamond camo was what we all wanted back then. Going into a lobby with that made you feel like part of the royal family, except for those weirdos who had it on a riot shield. Speaking of camos, Black Ops 2 was the first game that introduced cosmetic microtransactions, which would of course mark the dark times in the series, but looking back they weren't too bad, but I completely forgot how many there were. The only one I remember buying was the bacon camo, and then not using it because as a kid, and I kid you not, I was worried it would make me too hungry whilst playing and I'd get distracted, like I was some fucking wild mammal off the streets. But yeah, I guess you could look at this game as the beginning of what we see now, but it was inevitable either way. At least this was just strictly camos and nothing else. In terms of actual gameplay and game modes, a lot of the traditional modes would return. Of course you'd have TDM, Search and Destroy and Domination, but also a new mode called Hardpoint, where you'd have to capture a single location on the map for a limited time, which was absolutely mental on Nuketown. Party games also came back from Black Ops 1 with modes like Gun Game and Sticks and Stones. We'd also see the introduction of League Play, a ranked mode, which would get its own cult following and become quite popular over the game's lifespan. Also Theatre mode would return, allowing players to save their gameplay and share clips online. In terms of the actual gameplay, from what I can remember it was the same classic Call of Duty feeling you'd get from most games. A lot of fast paced matches on small to medium maps. I don't think there was a particular gun that was overpowered, however I do think the assault rifles were made completely obsolete and SMGs would be the only option. They had higher ammo capacities, faster fire rate, the recoil wasn't that bad, there was really no reason at all to use an assault rifle over an SMG in this game, with guns like the MP7 and PDW being clear standouts. I also remember near the end of its life cycle that LMGs would become a really good option, with something like the LSAT with FMJ and a target finder scope essentially being a chopper gunner you could hold in your hands. Being able to absolutely mow down the enemies from either close or even long distance, you really had no need to go near the assault rifles. Going back to capture the gameplay, all the memories of playing online all those years ago came flooding back, and I do feel there's a certain something these older games had that the new ones are just missing, but I have no idea what it is. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. Of course I have to mention the maps, because back then Treyarch just had the best options when it came to the maps in this era. There were some legendary maps introduced like Hijacked, Raid, Standoff, Plaza, plus a ton more, with most of them being brought back into newer games in the series as DLC. All of them just felt great to play on, and pacing on each one felt great. Obviously, like most CODs, there was ones you always skip. I'm looking at you, Aftermath. But just looking through this list, I can distinctly remember playing each one of these maps back in the day and just having a blast on each one. Even the DLC had some absolute bangers on there. Of course, they brought back Nuketown with Nuketown 2025. They'd also remaster some other BO1 maps, like Uplink being a remake of Summit and Studio being a remake of Firing Range. They didn't do too many of these remakes though, so it wasn't too bad, not like nowadays where they just rely on nostalgia for people to be interested in playing the game. I'm looking at you, MW3. The DLC packs also had maps like Rush, set in a paintball arena, and Grind, set in a skate park, among other unique locations. I do miss Treyarch's DLC maps, as they always had the craziest and fun maps introduced over time, which just helped keep the game fresh. The first DLC pack also introduced a new weapon called the Peacekeeper, which again, just like the Camo DLC, could be seen as the start of the series' obsession with microtransactions, but I never really remembered it being any better than any other gun in the game, just a different option to choose from. Whenever I think back to the multiplayer in Black Ops 2, I truly think this is where the series peaked. From the new creator class system to the fun, interesting maps, the game was always fun to play. It was the last game I truly got into in the series, spending hours levelling up, grinding for camos, and it never felt like a chore. It's a shame nowadays the lobbies are completely empty. I think that is just because the game was riddled with hackers in later years, but I hope in some form or another the game comes back, because I would love to go back and play in a lobby full of people one more time. This is the longest script I've written for a video for one game, and I think that's just ultimately down to just how much I love Black Ops 2. Every single mode has just been made to absolute perfection, from the in-depth campaign, the rollercoaster ride that is zombies, and the always fun to play multiplayer mode. It's not hard to see why many people see this as the best game in the series, and sadly, it would be downhill from here. This was the last game that would be exclusive to the PS3, Xbox 360 era of consoles, as the next game, Ghosts, would release on the next gen consoles. Call of Duty would spend most of that generation experimenting with different types of games, like the XL movement and jetpacks of Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, and even going back to its root in 2017's World War II. By the end of the 2010s, we'd end up in the era we're in now, with the Warzone games. Nowadays it just feels like every new game is just there to promote that free-to-play mode. Even though they really try, especially Treyarch, to make a unique experience, it all just feels more of the same. The campaign, zombies and multiplayer, all sharing mechanics with Warzone, means that we'll probably never get a game like Black Ops 2 ever again, as the devs aren't allowed to take the same risks as they once did, and instead have to mould themselves based on a free-to-play mode that was popular about 10 years ago. I mean, I still can't believe Battle Royale games are this popular. I was bored of them after Minecraft Hunger Games, but the pressure's on. This year with Battlefield 6 releasing a month before Black Ops 7, maybe this could be the turning point. Maybe now Activision will pull their finger out and try to make COD great again. But we'll have to wait and see what the future holds. Until then, I'll be waiting in this lobby to play the last great Call of Duty game. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you when I see ya.
Lightning strike away coordinates. Smoked!